name with all these different syllables, but it just made like salsilies, better words to use. Welcome back to Console Meet Gaming, otherwise known as the CMG podcast, a wonderful weekly podcast on gaming and all things related to gaming. I am Craig, along with my compadre Gary.
Hello.
Mark.
I saw this.
And our audio whiz kid, Irvin.
Equilateral.
Whiz kid in inverted commas.
I'm just trying to give him a compliment, Mark.
I'm
Just let him
crushed. I'm bit crushed.
If you expect this cocoon to ever turn into a butterfly, then you got to nurture it. Okay, Gary, where can people find us?
People can find us at consolemegaming.bandcamp.com, and you can download the podcast there. If you go into YouTube, you can search for Console Me Gaming. You will find us there. And if you go to your iTunes podcast apps on your phones and other sort of devices, you can search for Console Me Gaming there, and you will find us.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
I'm also trying to pay out the ass to all of the pornographic websites I can find, because that's where all the young men go to, and I'm trying to pay them for advertising.
Yeah.
Nothing as of yet. Nothing I've come across in my browsing.
Yeah, we need to come up with a new
Beta rater.
Craig is doing extensive research for us.
I'm trying so hard. So hard.
The Wikipedia is so expansive.
I just keep dropping our podcast into Wikipedia links everywhere.
CMG, is this like a new term?
Viewership goes up. Dislikes go up. But anyway, we will
That's the only thing that goes up.
Not in my other researching. But we will go into the news. Okay, Nintendo has announced a load of backwards compatible games for the new Nintendo 3DS.
That's the new
Nintendo
one.
3DS.
Yep.
We have to
new
say
and
that.
improved.
Yeah.
Because in Nintendo's strategy to be as, they don't try and be obvious or as clear. It's if they just hide what they're trying to advertise, it's fine, because this is essentially treated as a new system. There's a lot of stuff that from all the older stuff for 3DS works on it, but there's certain things on the new 3DS, these included, and along with Xenoblade, that will not work on the previous versions, such as the XL 2DS and the original 3DS. Mm-hmm. So again, Nintendo.
It's just the 3DS is so old now. It's just trying to upgrade the.
It's crazy thinking how long it's been around now.
Yeah.
But then again, think about the lifespan of the DS.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, but the problem is like people expect better games
Has that
these
been
days.
since like 2004 or 5?
Something like that. Yeah.
I remember it's always when it's like 2 screens.
But they do
You can use a pen on it.
To their credit,
Oh my God.
to their credit, they do support them. So they support their handheld so much. Look, the Vita could have had a lot more potential if they actually supported it.
But it didn't have a stylus.
Past 6 months. Boom. Yeah, exactly.
They had touchpads at the back.
Yeah, the fondle pads.
So you said they're clawing at it. Going,
Yeah, exactly.
You got to stroke it just right.
And then they until they released the new one, the Slim, the thing was so big that if you held it like you hold a DS, you'd have your hands on the touchpad. It was just annoying.
So the problem with this is that it's making me want a new 3DS.
You just got a PlayStation.
Yeah, I know. I can't get it just now, but it's making me want it.
Yeah.
Consoles. Because, but the whole point of this topic is the Super Nintendo games that are being released for it, including 2 of my childhood and all-time favorites of Link to the Past and Super Metroid. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get one now.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned earlier about some sort of Super Pixels mode.
Oh yeah, it includes Pixel Perfect mode, which allows you to play it at the original resolution. So none of this widescreen shite.
But widescreen.
I want to barely see my games in my childhood.
If I'm not squinting, then I'm not playing it right. In other news, Fable Legends has now been cancelled, and and there's a lot of rumors about the closing of Lionhead, which is a great shame.
Yeah.
Especially considering how it was very big for the Xbox. Well, the original Fable.
Yeah, well, the original Fable was fantastic, and they've also did Black and White as well, which is
Very
great.
standard game.
And it's Peter Molyneux left a while ago, but to be honest, the studio has been it was a significant studio, but they've just not produced. They must be paying on so much staff for something that's essentially not coming out now.
Yeah.
So where's the return on it? And it's just
Well, I mean,
a shame.
it's in beta. I mean, so it's hard to abandon a game at that sort of stage of development. And why? Because
It has happened before,
it
though.
would sell.
It's just,
yeah, I know, but
at least they get something back, is what you're saying.
it's happened before. But this is quite, it's a semi-significant franchise. I mean, it's got a lot behind it. Just to abandon it's a bit.
Yeah. It's a great shame, though. Especially for a studio that's been around so long as well.
Great British studio as well.
As well as that, Uncharted 4 has been delayed by about 2 weeks, so it's now into May.
That's not a real delay.
It's not a real delay. Well, considering the fact this is their delay after they delayed it from the usual slot, because Uncharted came out around November.
Yeah.
The last two
Must
at
be
least
quarter
came out in
four
November.
minutes,
Yeah,
So
and now it's been pushed right back.
So it was end of April. Now it's May 10th, isn't it?
It's
ridiculous.
some point in May.
Shocking. I know.
But, yeah.
I hope Naughty Dog go down.
But speaking on the
They put that dog down.
Speaking on the PlayStation blog, PlayStation's Sean Layden said, in an effort to meet the considerable worldwide demand and to ensure that all gamers worldwide have the opportunity to play the game on day one, we have chosen to postpone the launch of the game by 2 weeks to allow the extra manufacturing time. We know this news might be disappointing, and we are sorry to have to make you wait a little longer to play Naughty Dog's latest. But he also said, in good news, the game is phenomenal. But he may be a bit biased. But no, I'm really looking forward to it, especially since they've pretty much said this is the last Uncharted.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I think it's going to be very different tonally, purely because it's a shame Amy Hennig's gone.
Amy Hennig's gone, but now we've got Neil Druckmann.
Yeah, so it's
at the helm. So,
but Neil Druckmann, the one that he was involved, he has been involved in Uncharted before, and it was Uncharted 2, which was the best in the series. So, well, in my opinion, it was the best in the series.
Yeah,
and I think that's the common.
Uncharted 2 among thieving bastards.
It was if you turn on the settings to British, that's what you get. But
Geordie. Overdub.
not only can I change my language, I can change my accent.
So clearly, the recipe for success is having thief in the title.
Exactly. Don't look to thief as an example. Just don't. But
Just don't.
But yeah, no, it's only 2 weeks, so still looking forward to it. That's one of their big games for the summer as well.
I'll get 3 finished soon.
But that also sounds very clashy with Doom. That's not a good thing.
When's the release of Doom?
May 10th or something.
Oh, that's 13th. Yeah.
So yeah, that's very close.
Yeah.
In other news, Disney Infinity, I thought this would be quite interesting because this has kind of changed their model.
The Smash Bros. style.
Yeah, they're Smash Brothers, but what they've said is they're not going to make a Disney 4.0. Or at least they have no plans to make a Disney 4.0.
So they're just gonna,
that marketing, though.
Yeah,
I know,
are they just going to keep expanding on the
They're going to do an expansion. They're going to do it with expansions that you don't have to buy new gear for, essentially. Because what's happened is you've had to keep buying new stuff, and then they release new modes for you to go back and use the old stuff with the new games. But they said there won't be a 4.0. Instead, they'll update through new content and figures, which, to be honest, is a much better option than having to keep buying these new platforms, new sets to do stuff.
They've got a decimal point system, so surely they can do 3.1, 3.1.1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just go through all the points.
Yeah, well, Kingdom Hearts do it.
Yeah.
And they've announced, across every console.
Yeah, so 1.5 HD, 2.5 HD, 2.8 HD.
Did they seriously do it with 2.8?
It's coming out as soon as
best use of the
they're trying to keep people interested until 3 comes out. So every year they release another thing.
3 will never come out.
It's coming out. Me and Gary, do you know about the thing that me and Gary said about Kingdom Hearts?
We mentioned
he said it'd be like 30
we joked when we were in secondary school and said, oh man, at the rate they're going with Kingdom Hearts, we're going to be 30 when it comes out. And Gary's like, good one, Craig. I'm 29 this year. Savage. Square needs.
Can we have a party if it actually is 30?
I'm taking a week off and partying for a week. I'm not even going to touch the game because it can't be real.
I'm just going to look at it.
No, exactly.
We're going to Japan.
No. And but yeah, they've shown the new figures. I'm really liking like the new Captain America one, but it's also kind of foreboding because have you seen the new?
Is that the one holding the shield?
Yeah, it's the death
of Captain America.
Oh
it's the
yeah,
death of Captain
yeah.
America pose, and I was like, ooh.
Shots fired.
Too right.
Mark, a little bit biased. Also, I thought this was quite a good one to mention. Phil Spencer of Xbox One fame has he complimented Uncharted 4. And he's been. I've actually really liked the way he's been just very honest about everything, and he has no problem complimenting any other developers if there's games that there's stuff that he is interested in or excited about. And it's been quite good because Sony now and Microsoft do generally, their staff members do seem to compliment back and forth and advertise the others' releases. So it's again, but he's been the one that's been doing it more often than anyone. And he said, he said, I thought the Division beta was very good. People will block me, but Uncharted 4 will be a great game, and I love the story. So no, I thought that was really good. I thought it was nice to mention that. Yeah. Mark won't like it. He's going to be like, I'm going to unfollow him.
Why? Why?
How dare he betray my brethren?
I've betrayed my brethren.
Mark.
Mark will unfollow himself.
Mark, we're right by a window. I'm just waiting for that red laser pointer to fall on your head.
No one can own both.
Mark, get down.
They don't mix. And also, Twilight Princess HD has released, and it's getting good reviews.
Specific amiibo, which I want.
Yeah, as well. But it's getting good reviews as well. And this again though, it's got the Wind Waker syndrome, which I think is also quite interesting. Talking about this when we're going into obviously Zelda, but
that's not the correct segue.
It's not the proper segue. I'll easily mimic it or echo it later on if we need to. But the fact that when Wind Waker originally came out, there was so much dislike for the fact that it was this animated thing,
art shading,
and then when the remake came out, I was like, I always loved Wind Waker. Okay, well, there's a lot of people that said they always loved Wind Waker. They didn't say that before.
I did always love Wind Waker.
I did always love Wind Waker.
I don't believe any of them, Irvin.
Wind Waker.
And then as well as that, when Twilight Princess came out, people, I don't like this. It's too gritty. And now everyone in hindsight thinks that Twilight Princess is really good.
It's not that good.
I really enjoyed Twilight Princess, but what I really liked about it was
so it's good, but
it did everything that fans were asking for, other than the dog stuff. But it went, which no one.
I just sounded dirty. I know. It's so dirty.
Other than when you play as a wolf.
There we go. That's a lot better.
But
Craig may or may not be into bestiality.
In terms of bringing it back to like the series, series typical villain, and having these big sort of boss fights and making it gritty and dark, that's what people asked for ages. And then they were don't like this now.
People just want another Ocarina.
People are fickle.
Yeah, people are fickle.
Yeah.
But
the new one looks too colourful.
But at no point was anyone, thinking,
and
you know what?
Open-worldy.
I want them to make a gritty Zelda, but I'd really love it if you turned into a wolf. That's what I really want. That would be the best one. But,
games aimed at Craig. Dog stuff.
We're going to have a game where what if they made a war game, but you played as a child and you saw all through the eyes of a child? And like, well, that sounds terrible.
Goo goo gaga.
My God, the innocence, the savage,
the savagery.
But yeah, and as well as that, the Division has launched this past week. And I honestly thought it would be slated the moment it came out, but it's actually been. It's been getting decent. To be honest, we've not had
on IMDb.
It's not had to the big. Reviewers have not really come into it yet.
Small scale reviews, but the world's greatest line simulator.
Well, yes, the British queues have definitely been building up at the start of this game, but it's there's. The criticism a lot of people have been saying has kind of been to do with the Dark Zone and the single player, which is more co-op if you have anyone else. But it's not like Destiny where you can come across people. Even though you can't really interact with people too much, you can come across with people in the world. But that doesn't happen in the Division when unless you're in the Dark Zone.
No, or you just can't fight them.
Or you're in a base. Nope, it doesn't happen in the open world at all.
They took that away.
They took it out.
Why?
Because it was some issue they had. I'm not sure. Originally, a lot of
servers can't handle it.
A lot of theories have been. It's on 9.2 right now
on IMDb.
On IMDb. I'm not sure. I'm not going to go by IMDb.
Nah. It's gonna be. It's a perfectly serviceable game. If you like that sort of thing, it's going to be good.
It's another one. It's another reason I'm kind of looking forward to us doing a Ubisoft retrospective, because their world building at Ubisoft is their big thing.
It'll be a special, Craig.
Yeah, not a retrospective. God.
Special.
Micromanagement is very important. I think it's coming up soon. Maybe.
But seriously, they took away coming across people in the open world.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not sure. I like this thing. Originally, the entire game was supposed to be the Dark Zone idea,
They changed that a long time ago.
Yeah,
but
they changed that a long time ago, but that's because you'd come out of your entry zone and get shot. You know what the best game over. What happens? Well, the guy will probably leave his base with good loot, so I'll just wait outside the base and shoot him. Like it's all it'd be. You just have the line simulator would take place outside with people trying to shoot you.
It's amazing. Then you just rename it Happy Campers.
It's
Great steelbooks though.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I have it, and I'm looking forward to actually getting into it. So
Cool.
Gosh,
this space.
you know what we have played?
We have played Street Fighter.
Quite a lot of Street Fighter.
We played a lot of Street Fighter,
Yes.
SFV.
but we will get to that as there's still more news.
Oh God, always more news.
Mass Effect has been delayed again.
Yeah.
I'll just skim through these
Oh,
ones
yeah,
because
yeah.
not big. There's a lot of delays again, so all of the best games coming out this year are now going to be coming out next year, as we say every year.
Love it.
Mass Effect Andromeda has been pushed from pushed to Q1 2017.
For now.
Yeah, for now, according to EA. But they are still saying Q4 will be Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 5. So at least they've got two other things to. Well, it's still
I can see
it's
Titanfall.
Two other things to delay.
as yet to be delayed.
I can see Battlefield being released, but Titanfall I can see being delayed.
Yeah.
On the subject of delays, Destiny 2 has been delayed by a year. Instead, an expansion will take its place. This is just it shouldn't just be a news section. It should be the delayed section because that's all it is.
We'll have a delayed
It's delaying
retrospective.
all of our other segments, so we can
A
talk
delayed
about
special
delays.
would be great.
Yeah, which will make Mark sad in one way. I guess you're still going to be happy you're going to have an
There's
expansion.
still content coming.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, that's always good.
Because I'm still semi worried about how the transition to Destiny 2 is going to take place. I mean, because it's going to be a different game. So do you take all your gear? Do you take, like, what has it
Oh
work?
no, it's going to be fine. You will start off with every bit of gear you have, then someone will shoot you and you'll start again. Like all of these games. Oh, you've been killed and they took all your
That'd be
gear.
so good.
But I mean,
Back to school.
This Mark is going so good, so good, so good, so good, so good. I hate this.
There will be riots in the forums.
they can't. They
This
won't do
happens.
that though, because I mean, it's sold as the whole idea is you're continuing your character through this entire series. I mean, like you've created your character you're going to take with you. So I mean, I hope it's not like Mass Effect, because that was really like implied to be that sort of thing. But all you did was just kind of take a couple of decisions with you, which didn't really make much of a difference in the later games.
Still messed me up.
Well, you
But-
came into Mass Effect 2, didn't you? Because
Yeah.
you didn't get.
No, I got 1 and 2. I played both 1 and 2. Never played 3.
Oh, because I thought.
I've not played 2 yet.
You haven't played 2. And 2's the best one.
Best one.
Yeah.
We've said it's the Star Wars. You consider them the same way as Star Wars. 2 is your Empire. It's great. Also, Final Fantasy release event is coming up, which will who do you say is hosting it?
It's Tim Geddes and Greg Miller from Kind of Funny.
Yep, and the release event will give us finally the game that was announced in 2006 will have a release date, so that'll be good, unless it gets delayed.
So next year.
I just can't wait for it to get to the point when it's just like, 2-0 question mark.
And also, Forza Motorsport 6 Apex has been announced as a free-to-play game coming out, arriving on Windows 10 spring 2016, unless it's delayed. So, without further delays, let's move on to our next segment, which is
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Fighter 5.
Street Fighter 5. So, Gary, you played it slightly. But
Yes, I have.
both
So-
Mark, Irv, and I, like all three of us, have played
Quite a lot.
a lot of it. And let's address the elephant in the room first, which is
Me.
we have to take it to Whoa, Gary, we would never say that about you. You're a beautiful man.
Thank you.
A sick elephant.
Everyone take a moment and compliment Gary.
I wasn't meaning like that.
I am not having him leave this downtrodden.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
I love your curls.
Oh, tears.
Never change,
No,
Gary.
but
We're not going to mock each other anymore. We're just going to compliment each other. But yeah, Mark, with a lovely smile, has played this game. But we have to address the fact that there is bare minimum content in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Minimum content, but it's so well polished. The actual
The mechanics.
of the
the meat of the game.
But this
Very
month
good.
we have an extra character. We have the challenges, which are the combo challenges you always get, and
The store.
we also have the store going up, which will allow you to get all the extra content that you've unlocked through story.
Costumes.
Because the existing story mode is bare minimum.
It's barely a story mode.
Yeah, and there is no challenge whatsoever. But but they did release it because for the tournament players. They released it so that the Capcom Pro Tour, because otherwise they'd be releasing this game mid-year, and then there would be no tournaments supporting it, in the Capcom Tour until February the following year.
Next. Well, they've got content planned all the way up till at the end of the year. So I mean, if that's all clearly still in development to make this what should be a full game, it's not going to be. It wouldn't have been released until the end of the year, and that's
we have a character every month coming out up until September, other than July, which is the release of the story mode.
Is our first one Man Mountain?
Our first one is the Man Mountain Alex, who you didn't think you get much bigger than Zangief, but holy crap, they found a way. I don't know how he will fit on the monitor. If you jump, he will definitely clip. He will vanish out of the screen. But no, and people have wanted him for ages, and there's three Third Strike characters coming into this, but only 2 that have not been in since Third Strike, because you've got Ibuki, because our 6 DLC characters are Alex, Guile, Balrog, Ibuki, Jury, and who's the last one? It's the person from Third Strike who wears the banana hammock.
Oh God, yeah.
Urien, who I hope will come in a suit and then rip it off and have just a banana hammock. That'd be hilarious.
No Akuma though.
No Akuma. Yeah, this is the first series entry to not have Akuma since 2, I think. Not even as a secret character, unless this is
it's an elaborate secret
that we haven't seen since Rogue Squadron. But no. As far as the game mechanically goes, I've not enjoyed a fighting game this much in a long time, as far as the nitty-gritty details of it. And I think a lot of people I know who didn't really lost interest in Street Fighter 4 after Vanilla,
including me.
When it became more about the sort of tech to it. A lot of people have jumped back on. Like both of you guys did not like the way 4 controlled. I didn't like what 4 became, really. You would lose a match and you wouldn't know how, because it wasn't clear. They've made this game very legible. You see exactly how you lose.
You lost because you're shit.
Well, you can see exactly, okay, if I crouch guard and they jumped over and hit, that's how you lose in very clear fashion. There's still a lot of little bits of tech to it that are underneath the surface, but it's a lot more honest. You have to... It's a lot of people said, it's easier in terms of execution, which yes it is, but you get punished for the wrong decisions so badly in this. And the damage potential off of a bad decision is huge in this one, but it just feels so good to control, and it feels very responsive. The hits are chunky, and it just feels really satisfying when you connect a good combo.
It's really good.
And Mark's joined the dark side. He has got the stick.
I got myself a PlayStation, Street Fighter, and arcade stick. I mean,
they got the guide, you got everything. You've all over it. But no, I
went to the deep end.
This is the thing. If you are very into fighting games, if you've enjoyed fighting games and you have people to play with, or you have a local that you can go to,
makes all the difference.
Definitely get this. I would say this game is for you. But if you're very much about the single player stuff, it's just something you casually do. Even online is good, but as well as that, you might get playing with other people is really where the excitement of it is.
Yeah,
it's where you can sock them in real life or when it goes down.
But the online is good, but again, like
laggy lag.
It's generally quite good to me. This is the best online in a long time they've actually had. And
you get to choose sort of like your connection strength, which is
exactly.
amazing.
And the way the rollback works online works really well. So I'd recommend for that. But then again, you could just wait. You're not going to be the most serious tournament player if you are willing to wait for the rest of the content. So just wait till July and get it with the story mode and all the extra stuff.
Yeah, all the DLC is free. It's not. Yeah, it's not.
Well, you can earn it. You have to pay for it unless you have enough in-game credit.
You have to earn it.
We will get, because there's Zenny and there's fight money.
Yeah. But I mean, story mode is
going to be free.
Yeah, so
characters won't be.
Characters won't be, of course, because that's the way.
But we will all get Alex free.
I mean, the in-game stuff that should be there. It's not like you're going to buy the game and then have to pay for story mode. I mean, all that stuff is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because that's the thing with. Is that still the case where like the characters are still unlockable?
You can unlock them. You just have to play a lot of online.
I thought it was just costumes that was on and stuff. I didn't really. I thought you
you can pay. You can unlock the characters if you they're all going to
Do
be
all
worth
those.
100,000 each,
That's kind of cool.
which is a lot of online matches. But
Yeah.
then they've made it that if you just complete each character's story, which we've already said is not a big thing to do, you can do it in an hour with skipping everything. You have enough to unlock Alex. So, like, for example, Mark, you've done all the story.
Yeah.
You can buy Alex as soon as he comes out.
Okay.
Without having to pay anything.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I,
So it's kinda like an
I
introductory
kind of miss that in fighting games, like unlocking characters.
Yeah.
But this is quite an interesting way of doing it. It's in that middle ground. You can pay for it if you don't play enough online to...
Or you just
Yeah.
want it now.
Or you just want it straight away. You want the Man Mountain, Alex. But no, I would... That's how my recommendations go. So, you can wait for it if that's your cup of tea. If you are very competitive and that's how you want to go, then I would buy it because it is just really satisfying to play.
Yeah, it's one of the best. It's the best fighting game for a long time. I mean, I loved MKX, I still do, but this is something else.
Exactly.
And this is when we have to check ourselves. Craig, how much are Capcom paying you?
Not too much.
Not enough.
I mean, the holiday was good. The jacuzzi I now have in my garage is excellent, with Capcom branded across the side. Every time I turn it on, it goes do 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 do. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Capcom. So I give this an 11 out of 10. With a big,
That's impossible.
with a big wad of cash.
Although there's one point that gets marked down as like not enough dog stuff.
Why can't I turn into a wolf?
And he's gone.
In the middle of a fight, I turn into a wolf and I start digging a hole. I'm like, oh man, there's an unlockable under here. Ow! Where's my character? Why can't I see him on screen? He's in a dungeon as a wolf right now. Speaking of wolves, what other games can you do that in? Mark, what's our next segment? I'm glad you asked, Craig. Dead on Mark impression.
Oh my god, if I close my eyes, it's like two.
It's like he's in the room. My goodness.
Why can't I take this, Craig? God.
Mark.
It's a room full of marks. My God.
Good thing Claire's not here and she's not blind, because otherwise she wouldn't know where he. Like, where is he? Mark.
So moving on from that beautiful segue into our main feature,
Lord of the Segways.
The Legend of Zelda, a retrospective.
Link.
Come to town, come to save Princess Zelda.
Oh, wait, we should probably establish that for anyone who's really casual, that Zelda's not the name of the main character.
It's fine. It's fine. He's fine. I'll go into that. It's fine. I'll do a brief overview for the one person that's listening that's never played Zelda before.
I was guilty of that. Was.
Mark,
So,
take us away.
The Legend of Zelda. One of Nintendo's longest running franchises, created by Japanese game designers Shigeru Miyamoto of creating Nintendo fame,
Miyamoto.
and Takashi Tezuka in 1986. It was part of Nintendo's original sort of big three game series that are still ongoing. So you got Mario, Zelda, and Metroid. Oh, you look so interested, Irv.
Do you count Metroid?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of their longest running series. That because things like Donkey Kong and all that ties into.
They're under the Mario. umbrella,
Basically,
Yeah.
and of course you got Pokemon and things like that, but
they're
they
not
came later on.
97,
and
96.
But I mean, talking like original Nintendo games that have survived. I mean, each of these franchises is about 30 years old,
Yeah.
which is mad when you think about it.
Crazy.
Real
So-
Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mario, Zelda, and
Vintage
Metroid.
Nintendo.
Zelda, the game focuses on the protagonist Link, who's usually depicted as a young boy or a young adult, who's basically given the task of saving Princess Zelda, the namesake of the game, from the principal antagonist Ganon, sometimes known as Ganondorf. Ganon's a giant pig beast. Ganondorf's a man.
Which only introduced in later games, though, was Ganondorf, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ganondorf was Ocarina. It was. It that's why I said it's Ganon. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Also known as
Ganondorf.
in Smash Brothers.
So since 1986, there's been 18 entries in the main
Canon.
main canon, I suppose, across all of Nintendo's major games consoles, except the new 3DS.
3.
And
don't worry, it'll happen.
the Wii U.
Which we often forget is even a new console.
And there's also a number of spin-offs and
Yeah.
comics, TV series, all sorts. It's a big universe.
Cartoon was horrendous.
Cartoon was great.
Went back and watched it. It does follow its own formula, I'll tell you that.
But wasn't that too close to the CDI games?
What?
The Zelda CDI games,
Oh, right, yeah.
the really bad ones.
Yeah. So we won't worry about those.
Okay, cool.
Strike them from the record.
But of course, the game features a mixture of puzzles, action, and adventure gameplay, as well as exploration. So it's kind of a mini RPG almost, but it's a lot more accessible. And the original ones kind of founded a lot of these ideas. Sure, everyone's familiar with the majority of the games. There's a few that aren't as well known, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I mean, it originally started with The Legend of Zelda. It was a launch title for the Famicom, the Nintendo's family home console disc system, which used floppy disks, and it was basically the NES before the NES. But then, of course, it was later released on a cartridge for the Nintendo Entertainment System for the NES, and it was actually the first home console game to have an internal battery, so you could save your progress. I mean, you could do that on the Famicom because it was rewritable discs, like little floppy disks, but cartridges wasn't possible. You always had your passwords and things. Features sort of top-down perspective, three-quarter view with overworld exploration. So you've got this massive open world that you progress through, and you have to go into dungeons, which are the main meat of the game, I suppose, solving puzzles throughout it, collecting gear, and then this gear unlocks new areas of the overworld to get to new dungeons. So it's it's a familiar format that a lot of games use nowadays. You need to collect.
Particularly Nintendo.
Well, particularly Nintendo, but a lot of things. You need to either claim or find gear to access new areas of the map. Like it's in Tomb Raider, for instance, Far Cry, all that sort of stuff. It's all these kind of open world style games. Then 1 year later, released The Adventure of Link, or Zelda 2. This is the biggest departure from the whole series, the series as a whole, really. Changed the formula a lot and never went back to it. But it still had the top-down perspective for the overworld, moving between things, but dungeons and towns were kind of a side-scrolling platformy sort of thing. Kind of like Castlevania, of that sort of style.
Yeah, because that was popular at the time, though. That's the thing. That's the entire reason they kind of shifted
It's not a bad game. It's just it changed dynamics too much to be popular as a Zelda title, I suppose. It also introduced a lot of RPG elements, like you got experience and levels up, and that's when you got magic and all that sort of stuff introduced. Some of those obviously became mainstays in the series, but the whole the hardcore RPG stuff was dropped. So the next game was Link's Awakening, and it was the first. Sorry, no, Link to the Past came next. What am I talking about?
I always get this mixed up.
Because I think Link's Awakening was the first one I played because it was on the Game Boy, because my dad had it. And
this is going to be good because I've completed one of these and I don't know which one it is. It's been so long.
So
Gary's going to help. No, Mark's going to help solve the mystery.
Yes.
But first, for the next game in 1991 was A Link to the Past. That was on the Super Nintendo, and it introduced. It went back to just the sort of top-down view for the whole game, so it was more similar to the original Zelda, and introduced the idea of the Dark World, which is basically the whole game series takes place in Hyrule. Some games don't, but mainly Hyrule. But the Dark World, it was the Twilight version, if you will, of
so it was like
Hyrule.
Split.
So I mean,
There's light world and the dark world.
So you had a mirror that you could change between worlds, and so it was a very similar map, but things were different. So
a few the Zelda games in the franchise use that mechanic.
Sort of other things like Metroid as well use that same idea. But I mean, in the light world, you come across there's a boulder blocking your path, but in the dark world, it's not there, so you can change worlds and continue on, and unlocked a lot of secrets and ways. That was one of the biggest ideas introduced in that game. But again, same idea. You're trying to claim the Triforce, which is the mystical force in 3 triangles, which used to defeat Ganon, who's captured Princess Zelda. So then, following that,
captured princesses. It's a very similar theme for Nintendo.
yeah. Damn, that Samus always being captured.
Wait.
She's not royalty.
Princess Samus.
Samus is a dude.
Right?
Have you seen that robot? Look at the biceps in that. That's totally a dude.
So the next game was Link's Awakening, and that was the first Zelda for the Game Boy. It was also the first game set outside of Hyrule, and also did not include Princess Zelda. So
It was kind of the holiday game. It was the side story. It was Link's Holiday.
yeah, shipwrecked on a mystical island with a giant egg on a volcano. But yeah, I think that was the first one that I played because my dad had it on the Game Boy, and you know, as kids, you always love the things that your dad
can't have.
you can't have. So,
But Papa, please.
The game child.
Who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you?
So yeah, it was also re-released in 1993 in full color as a launch title for the Game Boy Color, as Link's Awakening DX. I don't know why the DX was for, but
Oh, they love their X's. Nintendo.
They love adding letters.
and the next game that I'm specifically going to mention is the biggest change to the series, which came out quite a while later in 1998, Ocarina of Time.
What's that? I've never heard of it.
Released in 1998 on the Nintendo 64.
What's the Nintendo 64?
Shut up, Craig!
My ears.
The first 3D Zelda. So changing to the 3D world introduced the Z or the Z targeting system, as well as context sensitive button presses.
Yep.
Which become a mainstay in pretty much any 3D action adventure game you get now. I mean, the lock-on system is key to making these games work.
Very good.
Yeah, and Nintendo are innovators, geniuses.
Genius.
So, as of 2016, recently, it is the highest rated game on Metacritic of all time, with a score of 99 of 100.
Regularly wins that Game FAQ. Well, comes down to at least the final of the Game FAQ vote for greatest game of all time.
In 2008 and 2010, Guinness World Records listed Ocarina of Time as the highest rated game ever reviewed. And it is considered by many critics and gamers to be the greatest video game of all time. And
So nostalgia.
huh?
It's all nostalgia.
It's really not, because they re-released it for the 3DS 4 years ago, and it scored equally as highly.
yeah.
And it's not all nostalgia. It's a good game. Have you played it, Irv?
I played it for when I got to borrow like a Nintendo 64 for a week or 2 weeks, and it came with Ocarina of Time, Mario 64.
GoldenEye.
Not Golden. No. Xenia Warrior Princess Battles. And I was like, hell yeah.
That was a system seller.
That was indeed.
It's a shame because I only got to play like a little bit for Ocarina and Ocarina's Ace.
Yeah, Ocarina. It's a very, very special game. I mean, because it still had the idea of the overworld. You moved when you went into these dungeons, and there was a lot more sort of character interaction and a lot of interesting things going on. It was really the first kind of 3D open world game of that style as well, which is just was brilliant.
Yeah.
And also as well, the big question: does it feature snow?
Ocarina of Time.
Lava? The opposite of snow?
It features water, which is the
Giver of life.
The form for snow. Add cold and it becomes snow.
Actually, no lie, it does have snow.
In water, pre-snow.
It does have snow, because there's the ice palace bit, which is when you go into the future and where Jabu Jabu.
Oh yeah,
in Zora's
Yeah,
domain.
Irv, so stop complaining.
Of course, it's got snow.
Is it just ice or is it actually
No, there's snow.
Okay.
Irv has a strict criteria that you have to follow.
It has to be snow, not ice.
There's a frozen lake, and then there's snow and shit.
Okay.
Oh well.
Can you walk through the snow or is it just background detail snow?
You can walk through it.
Okay.
It's kind of just white ground, but you walk through it.
I don't think it makes the.
Do you leave footsteps?
I think so.
Metal Gear left footsteps, so I think I think that it's all good.
Yeah, so Zelda, you can get your thumb out your ass.
For God's sake, Craig.
You may continue.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's as far as I'm going to talk specifically about the games. I mean, I thought if there's any specific games that jump out, I mean, it continues on. There's lots of
there's
significant releases that we'll talk about. But
yeah,
the next one was my personal favorite. Still is Majora's Mask. I took everything that was good about Ocarina. I mean, Ocarina still stands out as its own contained story, as almost a perfect game. Which
it was very much it was a kind of a love-hate game though. Majora's like there are people that adamantly love that game more than any other entry in the series or even other games, but then there are people that really didn't like it compared to Ocarina or that style of game.
No, it completely changed everything for me, because like I loved Ocarina. I mean, I got that when it came out and played it a lot. But when Majora's Mask came out, it was just the same but so different. It was the change.
That's Nintendo's line: the same but different.
It really is.
Change of setting is no longer Hyrule. It was another one that didn't feature Zelda. Another game that was set outside of Hyrule. In Termina, but it's more the almost sci-fi kind of storyline that appealed to me so much, as well as the core gameplay mechanic is you have 3 days until the moon collides with the Earth, and you're given the Song of Time, which sends you back to the start of the timeline to complete these tasks. So you have to go to these 4 dungeons and awaken these 4 giants in order to stop
Save
the moon.
world.
Stop the moon from colliding and destroying the world. So obviously you can't all do this in 3 days, so you have to do it in different sections of 3 days. So you have to go and do stuff, work out what you're doing, go back in time, and then you can take what you've learned and what you've done, and then, because the thing is, if you clear your path, like when you go back in time, it's there again. So if you get through somewhere, you have to then
remember how you got through that.
Well, not so much remember how you got through that bit, but you have to then go and complete what you're doing there, because there's always these owl statues around which you can teleport around. So once you've got through an area and unlocked the owl statue,
it's a checkpoint.
It's a checkpoint. It's also a fast travel point, which you could skip a lot of the
unnecessary parts that'd be repetitive. Because otherwise you'd just be repeating everything over and over.
I mean, luckily time stands still in dungeons, so there's no time limit, which is it's a nice touch. Good, but you still had to get to the dungeon or unlock it within these 3 days. So it just creates such an interesting sort of dynamic and way the game works. It's never really been done again. I mean, and all the added gameplay of having the masks that turned you into the different races, the different species of so you could become a Zora, you could become a Goron, and you could become a Deku Scrub. Shrub, not Scrub, Deku Shrub.
All things you could turn into. The mechanics.
But not only did that open up new gameplay ideas, but you got to dive a lot more into the culture of the different races as well. I mean, because in Ocarina you met them and you spoke to them, but it's just like you're this little boy that's just come in and talked to me. But when you're actually a Goron, you're actually a Zora, you get a lot more into the society of it, the context, the lore of
the society.
And it just, for me, it felt like a lot more of an open game. Full experience, exactly. Just the whole idea of it, and then also the final battles on top of the moon, fighting the masks. It's just great.
Fierce deity?
So you have to collect all the masks, and then you can unlock the Fierce Deity mask and become Link God.
I'm Link God, bow before me.
Those 2 games are the ones that are very much held as like a lot of people. But then again, that's people in our age group. Obviously, they always regard those 2 as the sort of 2 favorites or the big ones. Wind Waker has also built up a big cult following as well.
It's also like the new generation moving a wee bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've had the pleasure, I suppose, of I've played pretty much every Zelda game because I was always a Nintendo kid, so I always had the relevant console, I suppose, and my dad
was the next game to get.
My dad had all the older ones. He had the Game Boy, he had the NES, he had the SNES. So I got access to all these games, which I think he did play at points when he was younger. But like my introduction to it was, like I said, Link's Awakening, and I also ventured MARKZ Awakening to Zelda. Then ventured onto Link to the Past, and
by the time Ocarina came out, you were already straight into that as well.
I loved the whole Zelda.
No, a Wii was my first. No, other than a Game Boy. Game Boy I had. Well, it was my brother's Game Boy that I used, and then I got Game Boy Color and so on. But I never even had a proper like home console from Nintendo until the Wii, which I got because of Twilight Princess. Because I was really looking forward to playing that, and a lot of people disliked it. My big thing though is that my fastest completion of a Zelda game is 3 years. Because much like Final Fantasy games, I pick them up, start playing them, stop after like 25 hours.
Yeah, so if you take out all the middle time, you could probably get it done within like, I don't know, maybe 2-3 days.
Well,
I thought you said about 2 years.
it's like with Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
I played 25 hours in 2 days, and then I didn't touch it since 2008. 2009.
Sounds about
whenever it
right.
came out. So I will finish it. One day. But I was the same with Zelda games. It's really hard for me to just get invested and play through these long story games. I don't know why. It's something else comes up or I get distracted.
Easily distracted.
And
Shiny things fly by the window.
And I've never finished these things in not one sitting, but you know what I mean, as in sort of one like typical playthrough as people would do.
The amount of times I've restarted Ocarina of Time,
I could never get into Ocarina of Time.
It's been really bad, and you're gonna hate me because I still haven't finished it. But
You haven't finished Ocarina?
I've never finished Ocarina.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't hate anyone.
Yeah.
But why
But you.
genuine question, why couldn't you get into it?
The thing was that I had had a PlayStation for so long. I'd played Final Fantasy. I was really looking forward to playing Ocarina of Time. Friend lent me his N64, but the issue was it was so long after it had been out.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was about a decade after that I played it, and I just didn't want to. I couldn't get into it. It just never clicked with me. I think if I'd played it at the time,
You should try the
would've
3DS remake.
that's what I mean. I've not got a 3DS. That's the problem.
Bargain.
That's gonna be the version I finish.
Because I wanted to try the Master Quest version and everything that came
Master
out.
Quest is messed up.
And there's like there's loads of times I've thought about it, but just Ocarina. If I'd played it when it came out, I would have loved it. It was at a point where loads of games. It was like I could play this game that's coming out that I'm really excited for, rather than go back and play this. And that's the way it always was.
Ocarina or Gran Turismo.
I do struggle with going back to older games. I will be completely honest with that. Like I have no desire to go back and play like one of these old pixel platformers or anything like
Craig's
that.
rule: never go back.
I don't know what it is. It's just you know what I'm like though. I have a lot of games that have been out in the last 2 years that I still have to finish.
Yeah.
And I just think to myself like I should get into those before I go back 20 years to play these other ones.
You don't play games, you collect.
As well as that, like old experiences with like Final Fantasy Legends that I played at one point, and that had a game breaking thing after 25 hours. Like a lot of these old like Nintendo just early console games.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, well you start the game again. What? What's the backup plan? There was no backup plan.
So really the reason you're saying you don't want to go and play Ocarina of Time is not enough dog stuff.
Not enough dog stuff. Not enough wolves.
Exactly.
Why can't I turn into a wolf in every game? Why isn't it called Legend of Wolf? Wolf to the past.
Wolf Awakening.
Twilight Princess was good. I mean, it's one of my least favorite of the Zelda games, I must say. I mean,
it does have flaws. It definitely has flaws.
my issue with it was
The intro.
Not the intro.
It's a clear port.
It's no the one of my issues with it was one of the first game. Well, it was the first Zelda game to use the Wiimote with
the motion controls.
no other options. You had to shake your dong around to make it work.
Shake your dong.
And it just annoyed me. But I was so excited for the game, and I still liked it. But in 6 months or so after I managed to get hold of the GameCube version,
Well, that's what I was going to say. Have you
so much better.
Have you tried to, until recently, obviously, they've just re-released it for Wii U. Have you actually tried, before that, did you look at eBay and see how much copies of the GameCube version were?
No.
It was ridiculously
Hold on.
expensive. It'll go down, it'll have gone right down
got
now.
it.
But that's the thing, like, it did come out a few months after,
I want to see how much it is.
but
No, it came out at the same time, but there was
we got a
there's-
delay here because of shipping or something. Yeah.
there was a lot less of them though, because it was like just
Because it was about a month after, at least here, that we got it.
was really
But I think that was due to shipping demand.
Okay.
And also because it would be less incentive for people to buy a Wii on it coming out.
yeah, true.
But it was clearly supposed to be a GameCube game, and it got ported across.
Yeah, because-
that's why a lot of people are worried about this new one.
Brand new. Your highest you're looking at is £219.
What's your lowest?
Lowest for a used one is actually £33.
Oh, that's good.
That's actually too bad.
It'll be going down now because of the the new version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it, although it was very trivial at the end once I found out what you could do with a fishing rod. You could beat the final boss by dangling a fishing rod in front of him and he'd get distracted by the bait, and then you could just slash him. It made it so easy. But no, I enjoyed that one. As well as that my first Zelda game was on the Game Boy Color.
Oracle of Ages.
And it was Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, which was criticized heavily before it came out because it was criticized as being a cash-in, being a red version and a blue version, and everyone thought it was going to be like a Pokemon game where you'd get the same thing but with slight differences, completely different stories on both games.
Yeah, because it wasn't Nintendo that made it though. I think with those, it was originally going to be 3 games, each representing a different part of the Triforce.
The Triforce, yeah, it was because it's the different oracles. It's Din, Faror, and
Nairu.
Yeah, it was those, but they only did the 2.
It was supposed to be 3 games, but they were having trouble sort of bringing it together. They were supposed to relate to each other.
Yeah.
But I think Shigeru Miyamoto came into it and helped him sort of condense it down to 2 games. And then, the idea is you play through one of them, at the end of them,
you get a code.
You either get a code or you connected it to another version of the other one, and then you could continue the story.
And it would give you could do it in any order.
Yeah.
Oracles was Oracle of Seasons was more action based.
Yeah,
Oracle of Ages was more puzzle based, and it added Zelda and Ganon to it, and they were your final conflict. But they both did have their own individual bosses that you had to beat. But I really enjoyed them, and it was really good as well because if you went from one game to the next one, the second game you got the Bigoron sword and you got the Master Sword and the Golden Sword. So it was I really enjoyed those ones. Although lent it to a friend, that friend got into a fight with their sibling, and their sibling deleted my saves.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Harsh,
just
bro.
before the final boss
Harsh.
of the second game.
Oh man,
really angered me.
that sucks.
It's horrible.
People are terrible.
So they were largely overlooked games, mainly because they came out for the Game Boy a lot later in its lifespan, especially, and a lot of people who were focused on sort of Ocarina and Majora's Mask didn't really play much of the top-down. That sort of style of Zelda before, so it was overlooked a lot. Plus,
it was the big console releases. That's what people follow generally. Like Minish Cap and stuff like that was overlooked as well.
Yeah, I went back and played that a while ago now, but I missed that when it came out as well. But the next significant release, and also one of the most controversial releases, I suppose, is the Wind Waker. Came after that, 2002. Cell shaded art style, completely
different.
Departure
from the style of Ocarina of Time and that kind of almost kind of.
It's European. It's like it's a European sort of cartoon style.
Yeah,
it's not what you typically call like a typical Japanese cartoon style. It is almost European in the way that everything's really exaggerated and disproportionate.
I really didn't know how I felt when I saw that.
I did. Yeah, I mean when it was revealed,
a shock to everyone.
It's just like, what is this? This isn't Ocarina of Time 3.
This isn't same but different Nintendo. This is different Nintendo.
But yeah, I mean it shook everything up. I mean it got rid of what the overworld as we knew it, and it became a series of islands. And you had a magical.
The overworld sprung a leak. That's what you're trying to say.
Well, it's flooded Hyrule. I mean, because you've got everything is supposed to be like the peaks of mountains. That's what all the islands are. So you get things like Death Mountain and stuff. Yeah, you sailed around on your magical talking boat using the Wind Waker, like the magical wand to change the direction of the wind.
Your kind of Ocarina of that game.
Yeah, it's
your feature.
Yeah,
the featured device.
It was different, but I loved it as well.
It was still a Zelda game.
It's still a Zelda game. It still had the dungeon, still had the charcher, still had.
It had a lot more character than a lot of other games had.
Yeah, like Link was like he emoted.
He wasn't broody. But one thing I'm kind of hoping that because of obviously how long the Japanese development cycle is historically for games and how detail oriented they are. I hope that the way the director did was he made them design the entire overworld and then he just flooded it. So underneath all of that is all these playable dungeons in this world.
It almost is, because have you finished the Wind Waker?
No. I'm wanting to get both that and the Twilight Princess HD. So
at the end of Wind Waker, you essentially go back to Hyrule in the past.
Is it a direct sequel to Ocarina?
No.
Are we going to get to this in the timeline topic?
Yeah, the timeline. It's not confusing, but it
jumps around.
It's haberdashed.
Ocarina of Time is your branching point.
Yeah, it's a time travel thing.
No.
Yeah, it's
No, Ocarina's the first. It's Skyward Sword. It branches from Skyward Sword.
No. Skyward Sword has one ending.
Skyward Sword's the top of the timeline.
Yeah.
But
And then it hits Ocarina.
of Time is the one where it branches off
Into three different timelines.
Let them fight.
Yep, I agree with Gary. It branches off into 3 from Ocarina of Time.
Oh no! Yeah.
So
No hero returns. Adult hero conquers
Yeah.
and vanishes. Child hero doesn't ever face Ganon.
Yeah.
And
No,
that
you're
led to a
right.
really interesting thing because Twilight Princess, you know, the ghost that teaches you your moves.
Yeah.
It is the young Link who never reached his potential
Yeah.
because he'd already beaten
Yeah,
Ganon.
yeah. Oh,
so when he
God.
went back, he
So
could
he's the
never
hero
become
of
the
time,
adult.
yeah.
So he's passing it on to you, hoping that you'll achieve what he could.
yeah.
Star Wars.
Timeline.
Yeah. So at the end, you go back to Hyrule before. So it's Ocarina of Time.
Hyrule.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool stuff that happens there.
Do you know what the only thing I've ever seen of that game is? Of Wind Waker. I went to a friend's house. He showed me the start of the game, and then he played the final boss in front of me.
Ganondorf.
Yeah. Worst. I was like, why are you doing this? I just want to see how cool it is. I could have experienced it.
No.
Can't.
I'm not that nice a friend.
So following on from
Wind Waker.
Just a quick diversion, but going on from Wind Waker in the timeline, the next game in that series was the Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
I love that game.
It's
on
great.
I've never played that game.
On the DS.
But you're about to say why I love that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
The stories I have for that bloody game.
A rainy night in Amsterdam.
Rage-filled night in Amsterdam. And
Really?
oh yeah.
Nice.
So
it was 2
fantastic.
days.
It was fantastic.
It was 'cause-
Two
no,
puzzles.
No,
It was two puzzles.
No. This event took over 2 or 3 days, but not like as in you were constantly doing it for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll get closer to the mic. We were away on a uni excursion, and every time we came back to the room, Mark opened his DS and started playing this again. And there's one puzzle, and he
There's
was
two
doing-
puzzles. Two puzzles.
No, but this is the one specific
The
puzzle
one.
I'm
We're
We're
talking
talking
about.
about the candle on the map.
The map. I am talking about
Fucking
the map
map.
puzzle, and I love the map puzzle. And
good.
game design, and Mark was sitting there and he was getting so frustrated, and Gary was further in the game, and I knew this, and I said, Mark, just phone Gary. No, because Mark's naturally very good at puzzles. I will always say that.
Yeah.
Mark is very good with puzzles. And Mark was getting so frustrated and so angry, and he just kept saving the game, turning it off, closing it, and then he'd think, okay, how do I do this? And he'd think about it through the day, come back to it, try it again, nothing would happen. He was doing everything, just nothing would work. And eventually, I finally convinced him to phone Gary. And Gary said a simple sentence, Mark. And what was it that he told you to do?
Just close the DS.
Don't save it and turn it off and
No,
close
no,
it.
no, no.
What did he tell you to do?
He said just close the DS.
Just close the DS. Because you had a map that was upside down on the top and a print on the bottom. And what happened when you closed the DS, Mark?
It printed from the top screen to the fucking bottom screen.
And I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed. And that is why Gary is the king of games. Because Mark, despite being one of the most intelligent people I know who's good at puzzles and all this sort of stuff, has now needed Gary to help him through Zelda and has needed me to help him through Final Fantasy. Because he's never
That doesn't count. I did the exact same thing.
But I did it.
Fuck off, Seymour.
The difference is Mark tried, I achieved. High five, Craig Gary. Yeah. Continue, Mark, about Zelda, please.
So we have the Phantom Hourglass
Greatest game ever.
game on the 2DS or the DS, even not the 2DS, just the DS.
Nintendo really does like to confuse us.
The whole dual screen thing was new, so there's lots of crazy gameplay mechanics going on, which you just didn't expect.
The controls.
The controls,
one.
moving around with the stylus is how you controlled your little Link. But it's puzzles like that. I mean, you had to transcribe this map, and it just made no sense, and it still doesn't make any sense. Shut up. But the other one that frustrated me for days, well, maybe not days, but
Weeks.
you had to extinguish these candles
I love this puzzle
to
too.
open a door. So, me being a Zelda aficionado was like trying all these different things. I was like, I'll just draw the arc of the boomerang around. I'll throw that and that'll cut the torch out. It'll be perfect. Nope.
How's a microphone work?
Huh?
Is this that has a...
The mic has a microphone, yeah.
Yeah.
So it has a
Even I knew that, Mark.
How are you supposed to know that?
It's because it is. I mean, it's the fourth wall.
It's
It's not.
Nintendo. They make the big deals about, we have this microphone.
I know.
We have this stylus.
Exactly. It's like, it's obviously stylus based. So or maybe I just have to do a certain number of swings at it, or
It all makes sense now. It wasn't because Infamous Second Son was a bad game. It's because it had gimmicks. This is the Mark hates gimmicks.
I fucking hate gimmicks. They're stupid.
Because they've wronged him.
Stroke the magic touchpad, Craig. So yeah, to blow out the candle, you had to blow out the candle by blowing into the microphone.
Just Mark doesn't
Thank
get
you,
literalism.
For giving us all this joy.
So much rage. So much rage.
Were they? I didn't know they were both Hourglass.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah,
I thought one of them might have been the sequel.
Oh, the
Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks.
You know what steelbook to get for your birthday?
Because they both followed the Wind. They both followed
Yeah.
the Wind Waker timeline. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just those words still haunt me to this day. Just close the DS, man.
Didn't you do it by accident? Like you were at work and you've closed it.
I'm gonna say no just
To maintain the illusion.
to maintain the illusion that I'm king of games.
If you just closed it to stand by rather than save it, you would have opened it and been, oh shit. There it is. Oh,
I
man.
know.
It'll haunt you to your dying day.
So yeah, that's another highlight in the Zelda franchise for me.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
Stop looking at me like that.
I have to look at you directly in front of me. I'm not going to look at a spice rack through the entire podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are we on to now?
So that was on the DS, which was good fun. I mean, before that there was the Minish Cap,
Yeah.
which was on the Game Boy Advance.
That was a Game Boy SP thing.
Oh yeah, so it was.
That was one of the.
Did that?
Which is still the Advance.
Was that in the
Not to
which
confuse
timeline is
With a
that?
backlight.
That's in the original timeline. That's direct follows. That's the first game after Skyward Sword, I think.
Okay.
Because the whole thing with that was one of the games like Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, and there was a Donkey Kong, and there were Mario re-releases, and then there was Minish Cap along with the original Zelda.
Yeah.
They released those.
On the SP.
They released those as promotional games, like as a launch, not a launch lineup in a way, but it would work on the Advance. But they were the lineup for the SP or to promote the SP coming out.
Yeah.
And that's
it
all
was-
the SP did was just flip open for closed.
But apparently, loads of people loved the SP.
Yeah.
It was so convenient.
I think did I have a backlight?
It did have, yeah, it had
and
a
that
backlight.
was amazing.
Yeah, because how often did people buy that peripheral for the Game Boy that was like a magnified
Yeah.
light
Yeah.
that sat over the top?
Yeah, but
Painful.
yeah, Minish Cap. It's you can't confuse when it's set because it's the same art style as sort of Wind Waker
Yeah.
and all that. But then that's also the same art style as the Four Swords.
Yeah.
which that all takes place before Ocarina. That's the
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the
timeline.
forging of the Master Sword and stuff like that.
But and now with each main console release, they change the art style now as well, which also adds to the confusion to a degree.
Yeah,
A little bit, yeah.
And to the fan rage.
but like you were saying earlier, I mean,
Rage.
after the cutesy style of the Wind Waker and Minish Cap and all that went for more gritty for the Twilight Princess, which was the next significant release, I suppose. We already touched on that, but then Phantom Hourglass was after that. That was directly followed by Spirit Tracks, which was a sequel to Wind Waker, a sequel to Phantom Hourglass.
It's almost exactly the same in style as the
Yeah.
Phantom Hourglass.
I never played that one. It's one I've never played. I don't know why. I just never actually got it. But then after that was the next. It's the most. Oh no, because there was a Link Between Worlds as well. I haven't played that one. But the next major release after Spirit Tracks was Skyward Sword.
Last main console release as well.
Yeah, last main console release. Also, the most different Zelda game there is.
It was really well received on launch, but in hindsight has been one of those games that when people look back on it, it's actually quite disliked. It has not held well in
It's-
sort of public sphere.
I never liked it.
I still haven't played it, despite owning it.
A lot. There was for me, the main console releases have been getting worse. Like the story is great. I mean, because it goes back to the origins of Hyrule and what Ganon is.
They've become
what
very
the Triforce is, and then also explains why Zelda is a recurring series. Because apart from direct sequels, like like the Phantom Hourglass and things like that, and Majora's Mask, every Link and Zelda and Ganondorf are different.
They also seem very obsessed with unifying the timeline, like having I think every game will now that we have a starting point with that, I think every game will follow one timeline directly to a degree, one after the other now.
Yeah.
Unless it's a spin-off, because I think that the handhelds will be their own universe almost to a degree then.
Maybe. But so the idea of Skyward Sword is it's the origins of things, and it's the ancient demon demise, which you basically have to. I always forget the first antagonist's name. He's got a weird name.
I don't know. I haven't played. Like I said, I've still got to play, so don't spoil it for me.
Skyward Sword.
Yeah,
Steve.
the weird jester emo guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. See in Twilight Princess, see the place that you get shot out of a cannon onto. Like the plateaued level.
Yeah.
Is that Skyloft?
I don't know.
Is that the same world? The Owaka guy gets you to go up there. Because I always thought that could be, because you have to. It is that town that it's a ruined civilization in the clouds.
It might be.
So I always wondered if that was.
But yeah, so this folk like the idea of it, it's this guy's trying to release Demise, who's this ancient evil deity. Obviously, it's not really spoiling anything, but Link defeats him and saves the world. But before that happens, did you say don't spoil it?
Don't spoil it.
Oh, okay. Well, that kind of ruins the whole idea of the rest of the Zelda. Did you know why their Zelda games are recurring then? Or?
No.
Okay.
I don't know why they're recurring. Do you want me to step out for a moment?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Google it. But yeah, it's just basically it's just reincarnations throughout time.
Yeah.
Of Link's
Well, that's kind of that's the way it's always been, though. The games have always said that there always has to be a hero. Basically the idea of the Triforce is there always has to be someone to represent those three parts, and that's what the kind of recurrence is of the character coming back over and over.
Yeah.
And now we have the big mystery of where this next game will be released, when, on what console.
What timeline.
The only thing we know is that it's going to be that main character is Link.
Yep.
He is a boy.
Yep.
And it's open world.
Yep.
And the style is cell shaded, but
not
much.
Yeah, but not in the same way as
It's not an animated proportion. So the character models are very much in the vein of Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, but the visual
more
style
stylized,
is it's very. But the aesthetic is kind of Wind Waker. It's a perfect blend of the two, to be honest. But it's open world, or that's what they're describing.
They say it's open world, but what does open world actually mean?
Yeah, true. Because Zelda's always been open world to a degree.
Well, it's had the overworld, which has been open world, but don't know when we're going to get that. It keeps getting delayed. Supposed to be Wii U, but there's rumors now it's going to be a release game for
NX.
But a lot of the questions will be on what the NX is.
Yeah.
Is the NX a platform? Is the NX an online, some sort of online thing that they're going to be doing? The rumors that our current consoles like Xbox One and PS4 will be able to run Nintendo games to a degree, and it's just that they're going to release the optimal, essentially, peripheral for it.
it'll be interesting.
So it all really depends on how that's announced. But to be honest, even though they will get criticized for delaying it and making a Wii U, people who wanted the Wii U for Zelda, they will be criticized for that. It makes sense to launch with a Zelda because that is. That's the reason a lot of people who weren't interested in the motion stuff and all that coming out got a Wii. That's the reason I got a Wii.
That's the reason I got a Wii.
Yeah. Launch lineups matter.
Exactly, especially Zelda, because it's probably Mario's their biggest franchise, but Zelda's their most hardcore.
Serious franchise.
I bet we will get if they do release that. I think we're going to get a Smash re-release. I think we'll get this version of Smash with all the characters, and it'll be like an Ultimate Edition or Melee HD.
The thing that interests me about it is it follows the thing that's kind of common trait these days is it's just called The Legend of Zelda. It's not got another name.
It doesn't have another name yet.
Yeah,
do you think they'll put
I don't know if they will. I mean, it's.
Are they going to do the whole
reboot?
Yeah, reboot.
But it's got a logo and all sorts that is just The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Because The Legend of Zelda, the very first game, is actually Zelda 2, but they're the last games in the timeline.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's mental. Did not know that.
Yeah, so the Adventure of Link is the last game in the timeline.
I did not know that.
They don't take the Craig line of life. Never go back.
Never go back.
Always go back.
Never go back. Nintendo always go back.
Always go sideways.
No.
So yeah,
And always twirling.
But thank you. Thank you, Mark. As well researched as usual.
Yeah.
It was excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And no, that's again though. It's some more questions at the end, just because the fact that we don't know what's coming for
Yeah.
Zelda, but we're going to know in the next few months, because they have said that the NX announcement will essentially be coming. I don't know if it'll be E3 though, but Nintendo never do E3 now.
I know.
Yeah.
They have their own thing, don't they?
They do like their own
Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
Stuff,
they do their own big direct before or after. It just depends. But
Sounds like Sports Direct. Nintendo Direct.
But yeah, the Legend of Zelda has always held a special place in my heart, along with Metroid. Two of my favorite game series. So it's
Crossover. Legend of Metroid. Could you take it, Mark?
that'd be too weird.
Too much of a good thing.
Yeah,
Is one.
yeah.
can't handle this.
There
No,
wouldn't be any dog stuff, though. So Craig would hate it.
it would. No, why can't Samus turn into a wolf? But no, I think that's a good point to end.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we've been on an epic journey
Yes, we have.
through the Legend of Zelda,
Riding a cum wagon.
riding a cum wagon to the sun. Stop there. Just end on it. Fiddling with all these different syllables, but it just makes isosceles.